Hello and welcome back to the channel. So this is a little bit of an update on my van build and how that kind of turned out, but I also want to use as an opportunity to talk about SPL tuning versus music tuning. So the cabin resonance at my van, once I got the sub box in, was 36 hertz, and the build ended up being kind of a good music build for the lows. The bandwidth did really well from 22 to 40 hertz. After that, it was just gone. Once it hit 40 hertz, it dropped off pretty quick, and that's partly because of the low tuning. So I had initially tried to tune my box to 29 hertz. It ended up being 27 when everything was said and done. A very low tuning. The quarter wave ended up being 24 hertz, so the quarter wave on it was very, very low. The sub FS, I do have the dual 4. They are 35 hertz for the FS. So I had a wide spread. 24 was the lowest quarter wave, and went up to 36 cabin resonance, and it gave me a really nice wide bandwidth. I wasn't very loud though. Part of that's because low tuning kills your SPL. You kind of got to pick between lows and SPL, and I'm going to do a video on that in the future. So I'm going to talk a little bit about trade-offs and kind of box building, box design, sub selection, stuff like that. But overall, basically, trying to pick what you want for your system. So because everything's spread out, it performed really good on bandwidth. And if you want a build for music, you might want something like this. I don't know about maybe 27 hertz, pretty low on the box. You might want to consider, if you wanted to do something for music, doing like 32, and cabin resonance is what it is. Quarter wave, anything higher. Let's say if you could do a 40 hertz and quarter wave sub FS, something like this would be a little bit better for music. This would give you a really good bandwidth, probably between 30 and 60, assuming you do your box just a touch big. But if you want to do something for SPL, you need to kind of group these together. Okay, so here's something for SPL. Now, this is considering my van, 36 hertz resonance frequency. Box tuning, 32 hertz would be about perfect for this. I have always found 10% below cabin resonance is where you want your port tuning at. So, 36, 3.6 hertz below, it's basically 32 hertz. Some people have found a little bit higher, like 15%. I've heard some people say even 20%. I've never really had good luck doing that high, but let's say if your car peaked at 50 hertz, you'd go 5 below that, 10 hertz, or 10% below, so it'd be like 45 hertz. Would really give you a good tuning for SPL. Now, if your car peaks at 50, you might want to go a little lower just for music. So you could go, at 15% and do 42.5, or even maybe 20% and do 40 hertz tuning. That would give you a good kind of blend of music and SPL. But really, you want your box tuned slightly below. And the reason why is because if this box is tuned exactly at 36 hertz, only the port is going to be basically loading the cabin. So everything's going to be coming from the port. If you tune it just below 32, by the time the box hits 36 hertz, the port is going to be, not going to be at full output, but it's going to be close. And the subs are also going to be loading. So essentially your music and or the volume or the burps or whatever are coming from both the port and the subs. And that's why you tune your box just below, because you get the benefit of both adding to, and you're actually louder. Everyone pretty much, when they tune, if they just throw, even they have no idea what they're doing, they throw something untuned at 30, it's going to peak about 33, sometimes maybe 34, 35 hertz, depending on their cabin resonance. It's always just a little bit above tuning. Quarter wave, here I have 36 hertz. You really want it to be close to cabin resonance if you're doing it for SPL. So you can tune the cabin resonance slightly below, or even if it's close to cabin resonance. So if it was 37, 38, it'd probably be close enough that it's still going to give a boost to your SPL. Once again, if you go a little lower, like 35, 34, that'd be okay too. Now the sub FS is not as big of a deal here as your box tuning, your cabin resonance, and quarter wave. In fact, I've kind of done these in order of most important to least important in this scenario. Only reason quarter wave out here I put third is because quarter wave can be a little hard for beginners to get just right. Cabin resonance is just going to be what it is. Actually, the box you put in will change your cabin resonance, so that kind of gets a little tricky. But sub FS is not as big of a deal as some people think. Unless you're kind of dealing with cheaper subs, don't have a lot of motor force, then it kind of is a little bit more important. If you got a subs with a lot of motor force, like the Sundown UV2s, they got a ton of motor force. They got that pancake motor on them. It doesn't really matter too much as much. But if you are concerned about it, you can always lower the sub FS by adding epoxy to the cone. I've seen it done really nicely to the back of the cone, and you just add enough to kind of raise or lower the sub FS to where you want it. Obviously, you can't exactly raise FS, but for SPL purposes, if you can get it close to the cabin resonance, then you're going to be golden. Like I said, not a big deal if you've got really nice SPL subs. They're not going to care as much, and the box tuning is going to kind of, adjust that some. So anyways, I hope this helps. If you are doing an SPL build, something to think about. And you can always kind of combine the two. So you're kind of doing a music and SPL build by just keeping these kind of principles in mind and understanding, kind of grouping some of this together. Like I said, if your vehicle's kind of smaller and you're burping a little higher, you may want to just lower some of these just so that you can, have some good music playability. This is also basically based off of a ported box build. It's going to be kind of similar, sealed box. Sixth order, you have very similar principles to. Fourth order, you have similar principles in here as well. Anyways, guys, love you. Cheers. Have an awesome day, and I'll catch you online next time.